Oh, there's the intro again. Hooray! I'm Monty Belmonte.
And I'm Khalees Smith. And once again, welcome to the Fabulous 413. Later in the show, Live Music Friday with singer-songwriter Dennis Crommett, who plays the Back Porch Festival next weekend.
And speaking of drinking, we'll drink with one of our favorite Franklin County wine drinkers, Ken Washburn from the Leverett Village Co-op. Field trip, we'll go to Shelburne Falls and try out the new Juicebox wine bar.
But first to the movies. This Sunday is the 96th Annual Academy Awards, the Oscars. And here to talk Oscars with us is Larry Hott and George Myers.
George Myers is the programmer for the nonprofit Amherst Cinema. He's had nearly 20 years of experience working in independent cinema, managing the screenings of 2,000 plus films, a published photographer in places like the New York Times and Movie Maker magazine. Is that true?
No.
Your LinkedIn needs to be updated then. I was like, I'm going to bet this, but I can't remember that. He is the co-owner of The Quarters, though, the amazing barcade in Hadley, and is a fantastic funk and soul DJ. I can aver all the rest of those things.
Yeah, all the rest of those are definitely true. Larry Hott is a Florence, Massachusetts-based filmmaker who, along with his late wife, Diane Cookie Gary, began working together in 1978 as members of the Florentine Films Consortium. Alongside Ken Burns, amongst others, they formed Hott Productions in 1981, and since then they produced 24 films for national PBS broadcast. Their awards include, but are not limited to, an Emmy and 2 Academy Award nominations. Larry is also a member of the Academy of Recording Arts and Sciences, otherwise known as the Oscar people.
Larry, let's start there. When they say, I'd like to thank the Academy,
They're thanking me.
they're thanking you, Larry
Me
Hott,
and 10,000 other not so important people.
Tell us what it takes to be a member of the Academy. What are your responsibilities when it comes to this award season?
They are awesome and onerous. I'm a member of the documentary division of the Academy Awards, and every year they ask me to look at several hundred documentaries, both short and long. Short is 40 minutes and under, long is any length, and they can go as long as 8 hours, and they have. And I take my job very seriously because an Academy Award nomination or an Oscar really changes people's lives.
Yeah.
So what I do is I watch as much of the film as I care to. If it's a good film, I watch it to the end. I have a secret. I watch it while I'm on my rowing machine, so I get a little exercise. I don't just sit there.
It's inspirational.
It takes 6 months to get through the films. But what happens at the end of this, and we vote again, and it's ranked choice voting, and it goes on. It gets very complicated.
At least somebody figured out ranked choice voting.
But we also get to vote on everything else from all the other divisions. So the actors vote for actors, actresses vote for actresses, and eventually it gets boiled down to 10 best films and 5 nominations for all the other categories. And then we vote on those too. And just like the other 10,000 people, we don't know what we're doing. So I like to say this is not a very good film festival. It's just the most famous one, and it makes or breaks people's careers.
Do you then end up watching the Oscar ceremony?
No, who would watch the Oscar ceremony?
I will be watching the
What
Oscar
I do
ceremony.
is, thank God for YouTube. I watch it the next day.
Uh-huh.
But I watch my favorite categories, and I watch the opening act. Otherwise, how do you survive? There's other things to do in this life.
Larry Hott, who's a member of the Academy, an Emmy Award-winning filmmaker.
Not for long, apparently.
Yeah, I guess. No, they're going to kick you out. You were nominated for Oscars, though, right?
Twice, yes.
Yeah, so then did you go?
And I went, and I tell you, it is a thrill because you get to see all the celebrities, and you know where you see them? You see them in the restroom because after they lose, they all go to the bar
to cry.
Exactly, and then they go to the restroom, and that's where you get to say hello. And then other people, they have volunteers who fill up the seats. That's their job. They fill up the seats. So on television, it never looks empty because after a while, people get so bored with the show that they start to go to the bar.
How long does it actually go on for?
Oh, 6 or 7 days. It
Oh, my
feels like,
goodness.
but it's every year they fight about how we're gonna make it shorter, and they have made it shorter. But
They made it earlier this year, too, I believe. It's going to start earlier than usual.
But for the participants, it's not the show. They have all kinds of activities for everybody. They have symposia, they have lunches, they have dinners, they have parties. And then if you're lucky enough to get nominated, there's the Governor's Award afterwards, which goes to late hours. And then the celebs show up and make an appearance. And they really they put on a good show for everybody. So that's the part of it that most people don't know about. So maybe you don't go home with the actual Oscar, but you do get to meet a lot of people. Make a lot of connections. I actually, with the first and second time I went, I met other filmmakers. The projects came out of that, so it was really worth doing.
Was your nomination your path to being in the Academy?
No. No. Yes, it was my path to being in the Academy. You don't absolutely have to have a nomination, but a fellow member put me up for membership. This is more than 30 years ago. And then it's been a fun ride. And it actually led to something else that I do, Monty. Monty was the engineer at WHMP, where I was doing the Bill Newman Show. Now I do Talk to Talk. And for 9 years, I've been reviewing documentaries and also talking about the Oscars.
And that is Larry Hott, who's the Florence-based filmmaker that we're speaking to about the Oscars right now. We're also joined in the studio by Amherst Cinema's George Myers.
New York Times.
New York Times photographer George Myers.
How important are the Oscars to to film programming for, like, not just art houses like Amherst Cinemas, but like kind of across the board?
They're a whole season in and of themselves. You know, a lot of what we do, we sort of break our season into 3 seasons of special event programming, and the Oscars are sort of their own animal. They're a really, really significant part of kind of who we are and what we do. A lot of the films that we show, it's true around the year round, that they don't have an opportunity to be screened in the area otherwise. And it's strange that the Oscars are so high profile, as Larry mentions. They do really make and break careers. But we still are one of the few places in the area that plays a lot of those films. And our attendance peaks, for sure, from November to kind of, March.
As everybody's trying to catch them all like Pokemon.
Yeah, you see, once the nominations come out, attendance really ticks up. And they'll even bring films back, films we played, say, in November, that they get a nomination. We'll bring those back because there's such an interest in them. So it is really wonderful because...
There's a zone of interest around them.
Yes, a different type, for sure.
It's worth noting that today, Amherst Cinema, you can watch the shorts for animated features, live-action shorts, and documentary shorts all today. I think starting by sometime after the show is over.
Yes, it's Friday, so they open today. And those are all really popular programs. And it's really wonderful to see because, if you just put together a program of documentary shorts, otherwise you'd be hard-pressed to get people in the door. But the visibility of the Academy nominations really, really changes things. So it's really nice.
Which is a shame because I feel like shorts are so interesting, much like short stories, like much maligned, oft ignored. But being able to tell concise, well-done stories in shorter amounts of time is so much harder.
Yeah.
Well, one of those is the wonderful story of Henry Sugar, which is going to play, I guess, at the Amherst Cinema. It's a Roald Dahl story starring Benedict Cumberbatch and Ben Kingsley and Dev Patel.
Let's hear a little clip.
Gentlemen, I'm a man who can see without using his eyes.
He saw it, I cried. He saw that trolley. This is absolutely unbelievable. I was flabbergasted.
This is a terrific piece of information. This could change my life.
An extraordinary thing happened. All at once, he sees through his own skin. Like an X-ray, only better, he sees everything. Henry was now almost certainly capable of making money faster than any other person in the entire world.
This is directed by Wes Anderson.
Yeah, it looks very Wes Anderson-y.
And it does. It does, full of animation and little quirks. And it's, I think, one of his best works. And how it ended up getting made, I don't know. A 40-minute short, who's going to pay for that? But it is wonderful. And if you go to Amherst Cinema and see it, I think you'll be really pleased.
Excellent. Yeah. George, you have a pick that you want to talk about before we take our first break and come back
shorts,
and talk
no,
more?
actually, I've not seen any of the shorts yet.
Well, good. You can go see them today at Amherst Cinema, where you are the programmer.
Well, I think Larry's access to the Academy makes it a little easier.
Although that one's on Netflix, I believe. So if you do have Netflix,
Oh.
but go see it in the big screen.
Yes.
And that's a big thing, too. I mean, I saw the first Dune on my TV, and I regretted it ever since.
No, that's...
Did you see it?
I saw the second Dune on the big screen. So there we go. But that'll be next year's Oscars. We are talking this year's Oscars with George Myers from Amherst Cinema and filmmaker Larry Hott. We'll take a quick little break, and we'll come back and talk about some more of the Oscar-nominated films in just a minute.
You're listening to The Fabulous 413 on 88.5 NEPM.
Welcome back to the Fabulous 413. I'm Monty Belmonte.
And I'm Clee Smith.
And we're here with George Myers from Amherst Cinema and filmmaker Larry Hott, who's a member of the Academy, talking about the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences award ceremony, better known as the Oscars, happening this Sunday. George, you didn't get a pick about the shorts yet because you're going to go see them at Amherst Cinema later today. But what's one of the movies you do want to talk about?
One of the ones I was going to bring up was The Holdovers, which honestly is not the type of thing I'm usually drawn towards. Like Larry, I'm usually more inclined towards documentary, but there was something sort of classic about that film, along with the fact that it has, the cinema played it, but it also has a local connection. It was filmed in Deerfield and
Shelburne
Mount
Falls,
Herman.
where
Yeah.
we'll be for our wine tasting in a little bit.
So there was that's always a little special to see our small part of the world on the big screen. But yeah, I really enjoyed that film. I thought it was sort of just a throwback in a way you just don't see much anymore. And Paul Giamatti, I think, is always wonderful on screen. He's just such a unique and talented actor.
Do you think they'll give him the Oscar? Or is this Cillian Murphy's year?
This is where Larry. It's always a mystery to me how these things end up. I would say no, just because it feels like he should get it.
I think the Oscar for Best Actor is going to go to Coleman Domingo.
Wow.
In a film a lot of people didn't see called Rustin. It's an important film. It's not the best filmmaking, but it is the best acting. And every year there's this question of Oscars so white. And this year we have several black nominees, and Coleman Domingo is outstanding. But I want to say something else about the titles of some of these films.
Yeah.
There's American Symphony, which was a documentary that didn't get nominated for Best Documentary, but it got nominated for Best Song.
Yes.
Which is weird for a documentary. And
it stars John Baptiste, who won every Grammy.
let me say that this is my favorite film of the year.
American Symphony.
American Symphony. It's a beautiful story. It's a love story. It's ostensibly about John Baptiste's preparation of American Symphony, his symphony at Carnegie Hall, but it's really a love story about his relationship with his wife, who's going through cancer treatment, and you don't know whether she's going to survive or not.
Let's hear a clip.
Okay.
Monk, your books are... If a symphony orchestra was created right now, what would that sound like? We're gonna play it one night only at Carnegie Hall.
Music comes from life experiences.
We've both had so many good things happening.
And the Grammy goes to John Baptiste!
And so many incredibly hard things.
Would this remission last years and then come back? We don't know.
I honestly don't know how to hold such extremes.
Larry, it was hard for me to watch that clip about John Baptiste going through cancer with his wife and not think about you and Cookie, your wife, who I knew and worked with through the Cancer Connection the whole time. So
Obviously it was hard for me not to identify with that film. But the filmmaker, Matthew Heineman, who made Cartel Land, is a beautiful, talented genius of a filmmaker. And for a filmmaker to say that about another filmmaker, let's really feel that. His films are always excellent. I know the cameraman for that film, and he was shocked that they didn't get nominated. I was too. But the reason I brought up the word American in American Symphony is because American Fiction is also nominated. The word American now, it's also almost a controversial word, and American Fiction itself is a brilliant film. It's a send-up. It's a comedy about political correctness, and it's also got a nomination for Best Actor for a Black Man, Jeffrey Wright.
Who is so good in that.
This was my pick. This is the film I voted for Best Feature Film.
Mm-hmm. Well, okay, let's hear a clip of that one, too. But I'll play the right American clip this time.
Monk, your books are good, but they're not popular. Editors, they want a black book.
They have a black book. I'm black, and it's my book.
You know what I mean.
Look at what they publish. Look at what they expect us to write. I just want to rub their noses in it.
I'd be standing outside in the night.
Deadbeat dads, rappers, crack. You said you wanted black stuff. That's black, right?
I see what you're doing. We sold your book.
No.
We believe Mr. Lee has written a bestseller.
It's a joke. The most lucrative joke you've ever told.
That's one of Larry Hott's picks for Best Picture.
Yeah.
And George Myers, what do you...
I would agree. I mean, I think he's just a really wonderful actor. And I also really enjoyed Rustin. Primarily, sort of historically, that story has been really sidelined, I think, by Rustin Gay, sort of communist-aligned, but hugely influential figure. So it was a really, really important story, and I was happy that it got the visibility that it did. It's on Netflix, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that one's also on Netflix.
One of the few movies on this list that I did see.
Well, let's hear a clip from Rustin.
When it comes to the old guard, I'm considered a pariah.
Every person at this table will be in the line of fire because of him.
Why is everyone so obsessed with what I'm doing and with whom? How can you preach salvation and not want to save yourself?
Every day, we surrender that which makes us different. I can't surrender my differences. The world won't let me.
The day of your march, the entire D.C. police force has been mobilized.
What they really want to destroy is all of us coming together and demanding this country change.
George, one of the clips that you wanted to talk about are movies. It's in German. Oh, no, sorry. This one is in Spanish, I believe.
Is this Eternal Memory?
Eternal Memory.
Yeah.
So when I was getting emotional watching the clips from American Symphony on behalf of you, Larry, I basically had to go cry in
This one's
a
brutal,
puddle.
yeah.
Tell us about Eternal Memory.
So this filmmaker, I think it's Maite Alberti, I might be saying that wrong. She's Chilean, and her previous film I absolutely loved. We played it. It didn't get a lot of sort of visibility, The Mole Agent, but this one's about a journalist and his wife who's a sort of a celebrity politician in Chile, and he's suffering through and dealing with the onset of Alzheimer's. But he's also a journalist who had sort of uncovered a lot of the political corruption and under Pinochet. So there's this sort of parallel about sort of knowing yourself and knowing your past that they're suffering through as a couple, but then also the sort of political angle of that. So it's a really beautiful, but it's heart-wrenching. I mean, anytime you're sort of getting into these subjects, you kind of have to brace yourself and prepare. And there are days where I won't do it.
Yeah.
Like, nope.
In a 1.5-minute long trailer, I was a mess.
Yeah.
I want to play a clip of this, too.
Yeah.
I mean, if you speak even rudimentary Spanish, I think you'll be able to understand what's going on. I know.
Yo aquí para recordar quién fue Augusto Bono.
Yo soy Augusto. ¿Y tú qué eres?
Yo soy la Paula. Nos conocemos hace más de 20 años.
Mañana vas a encontrar.
Nos parece muy importante reconstituir la memoria. Es siempre un intento de verse a sí mismos.
Lo importante es que no me olvides a mí.
I'm going to lose it again.
I can translate for you. They were saying, do you remember when we used to go to the Amherst Cinema together?
Essentially, it was very. We've known each other for 20 years. It's important that you don't forget me.
I trying to say the same.
I think there's also, like, in the sort of the documentary nominations, and maybe this is a credit to you, Larry, that a lot of the sort of best actors, as great as they are, a lot of those are sort of major studio films. But the documentary stuff, often you see stuff really bubble up that kind of has a bit more of an independent streak to it, and that's something I really love about those nominations. Is a lot of these films do really, I think, represent.
Right. There's a film in the shorts that is nominated, The Last Repair Shop, which I think people in Springfield could identify with because it reminds me of the Sci-Tech Band.
Oh, yeah.
I did a film about the Sci-Tech Band prior to Springfield, which you can see on YouTube. And I watched this film, I said, and in some ways it's the same idea. The Last Repair Shop is about the repair shop for instruments in the school's bands in L.A. It's the last school district in the country that gives the students free instruments, but they get worn out and they have to be repaired. So this idea is to tell the story of the people who repair the instruments and the students who use them.
But when we see a broken thing, we think, oh, with a little something here, a little something there, we can fix the part that's broken and make things whole again.
It's difficult work.
But no matter what, you do whatever it takes because
Fixing stuff is one of the best things that humans do.
that's why this is not just a musical instrument repair shop. When an instrument breaks, there's a student without an instrument. No, not in our city.
Almost every one of the people repairing the instruments has a broken life in some way.
That's the power of cinema. George, we're going to run out of time shortly. Do you have another pick before?
Well, actually, it's sort of the Bobby Wine one. Very briefly, I think there is sort of a parallel to what Larry's talking about here, where he's a prominent musician in Uganda who is pushing back against sort of an autocratic rule. And is penalized severely for it. You probably don't have to play the clip, and it's not playing at the cinema right now. But I do think that there is this sort of same thing at play, where there's sort of popular support for someone through music being the voice of the people, and then translating that into sort of political change. So I was really moved by that, and I think because it kind of touches on some stuff I personally really identify with.
I think it's the one that's going to win because Bobby Wine in this film is an election up against a Trump-like character. Mm-hmm. And I think the 10,000 members of the Academy are going to identify with that.
Interesting.
Really quick before we get out of here, like local art house cinemas are doing a lot for Oscars. Like Amherst Cinema has been showing all of the nominees over the course of time. Triplex Cinema is having a watch party on Sunday for the Oscars itself. Greenfield Gardens is having a Pick the Winners contest. So you can get locally involved in this grander thing and help your local cinema out as well.
Yeah, I mean, Amherst Cinema is, it's membership, it's member-based, member-supported. That's how we are able to do what we do. So we do thank all of our members, and it is an integral part of how you can bring so many of these films that maybe don't have the commercial major studio backing to our area. So yeah, we really want to thank our members and supporters for creating an opportunity and a space for these really important and powerful films.
George Myers, what do you think is going to win Best Picture on Sunday night?
Ooh, again, it's never the thing that I want it to be.
Do you think it's Scorsese? Because I think it's Scorsese.
Yeah, I mean...
Oh, God, I hope not. Please, God, no. I thought it was poorly directed and poorly acted. I would love American Fiction to win, but I think it's going to be Oppenheimer.
I think it's going to be Oppenheimer.
That's what I do, too. I think that...
Tendentious Oppenheimer.
Larry Hott, filmmaker, Emmy Award winner, Oscar nominee and member of the Academy, and George Myers, the programmer for Amherst Cinema, where you can even today go see some of these Oscar-nominated shorts. Thank you both so much.
Thank you.
It's Live Music Friday, and later in the show, we'll welcome Valley-based singer-songwriter Dennis Crommett, who plays the Back Porch Festival in Northampton next weekend.
And up next, we'll be joined by sommelier Ken Washburn at the new wine bar in Shelburne Falls, the Juicebox.
You're listening to the Fabulous 413 on 88.5 NEPM. This is going to be an exciting Wine Thunderdome because we have unlocked another part of the Franklin County wine map here on Bridge Street in Shelburne Falls at a place called the Juicebox.
Juicebox.
The Juicebox. And we're with one of our favorite Franklin County wine tasters, Ken Washburn, who is the wine buyer and level 2 sommelier at the Leverett Village Co-op. And you were the one who said that we should come check this place out.
I love it here so much, and I'm so glad we're here.
It is a tiny little sleeve of a restaurant/bar, and we're gonna go talk to the person who owns it, who's over here, who we totally crashed. We didn't tell you we were coming, and we didn't know you, but Ken was like, we should go do this, and we did. What's your name?
My name is Alice Thompson.
Tell us about your story with Juicebox here.
This used to be a restaurant called Delicatessen that I ran for about 5-6 years, but after having a baby, I teamed up with 2 other moms, Rachel and Roxanne Crocker. They're sisters who also have kids, and so we kind of teamed up and thought, what else aside from food, which is kind of hard to do now that we have babies, what else do we like to do? And we're passionate about wine, natural wine specifically, so that's what we decided to do.
And so is the name Juicebox an homage to both being a parent and wine?
Exactly.
I love it.
Is that why there's boobs on the wall?
Not related, I guess, but...
I feel, never mind. That's a dangerous line of brain.
Lacto fermentation?
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, Juicebox, like Kitty's Juicebox, but also juicy wine, and this is also kind of a small box, so a lot of different things we riffed on.
What we usually do is 2 wines enter, 1 wine leaves, but since there are 3 of us, and we're buying wines by the glass from this wonderful little place, we're gonna get 3 wines, but we're all gonna get it split into 3 glasses, and we're gonna taste each other's wines. So we have to remember what wines we chose. Police and I were looking at the list before we came here the other day, and Ken, you picked the wine that we definitely were most interested in. What one did you pick?
It is the Swick Bring It 2021, and it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 grapes.
There's 1 wild card in there.
Yes. See if you can guess what the wild card is here. Pinot Noir, Syrah, Grenache Noir, Mourvedre, Touriga Nacional, and Gewürztraminer.
One of these things is not like the 5 others.
One of these things doesn't belong.
Gewürztraminer is a white wine, so this happens sometimes in like the Northern Rhone, but not as frequently, although it happens in Champagne all the time. Put in a white grape with all those red grapes, not overly common, so I'm really excited to taste that one. Police, which one did you pick?
I picked the Chenin Blanc because I came in last, which meant my options were very limited.
There's still plenty of options on there.
There are plenty of options. There are some really cool things on this list.
Well, look who's here. It's Professor Belmonte, my wife.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
I don't know if we met. I thought you were a random person.
Melissa.
I'm Ken.
She's a random wife who's walked in here.
Yeah. And that's Alice over there, who owns the place.
Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you too. Welcome.
So my pick was sparkling, because I'm a sucker for sparkling, and the Lambrusco La Lolina Quaresimo Salamino Maestra.
It does also sound like that theater exercise where you say the first lines of Lolita. Does nobody else do this?
No, do it.
No.
Oh, okay.
And I was a theater major briefly, so.
Yeah, Lolita, light of my life, fire of my loins, my sin, my salvation, my Lolita.
Nothing problematic about that.
That was our theater warm-up in high school. Thanks, everybody.
High school.
So we're going to drink these wines, and we're going to have the cheese plate. And anything fun that you want to tell us about any of these wines that or the first wine that we picked here, Alice? We're going to have the Chenin Blanc first because it's white.
Yeah, it's Chenin Blanc. It's biodynamic, and it's from the Loire Valley in France.
And you're picking the wines and doing the tasting notes on this list, which are all really fun.
Yeah, it's very personal, I would say, like different wine descriptions. So I try to have fun with it and try to be very specific.
Some of these descriptions you put on here say things like Sprite and yogurt, but this one is not Sprite or yogurt. It's apple pie, ground apple, and persimmon.
And ground apple is not an apple that's been ground up. It's an apple that's been sitting on the ground. Chenin Blanc is just one of my favorite smelling wines in general. Not even in a sort of academic way. Just, it's so pleasant. It smells so sweet.
I always think of feet when I think of Chenin Blanc, and I don't know why.
No, I do not agree. And you can't ruin one of my favorites with feet.
He likes feet.
I like feet.
He does. He likes it in glass.
And also in nylon stockings as well.
Good God.
Welcome.
Yeah.
Welcome to the oversharing world of Monte Belmonte.
I'm looking for feet, and I'm not getting any.
No, I'm not getting it in this either,
No,
but this
apple.
is
Lots of apple.
It's so apple. It's like apple juice at the Juicebox.
Shameless plug.
Shameless plug.
It smells like when you come in like towards the end of apple season and there's a lot of drops at the base of the tree.
Yeah, Alice could have said rotting apple on the ground, which we would have thought was amazing.
Yeah, but maybe other people are not so much.
Other people aren't into that.
I mean, you know, when you're in wine sales, you have to, part of it is coming up with a nice way to say something gross.
Yeah.
Like Syrah, blood, but you're not going to put that on a menu necessarily, unless you're with real freaks.
Did you see the Parks and Rec where Aubrey Plaza is like describing wine at a wine tasting event?
I'm getting notes of dried robin's blood, old dirty cashews, and just a hint of a robot's bathwater.
I'm so excited to see her in a John Waters movie.
I know. This is so fun to smell. It's very floral. What do you think, Professor Belmonte?
I like it. It smells like if clean water was also apples. Do you know what I mean?
And it's such a minerality when you taste it, like salty. It's like, it tastes like petrichor smells. Who's gonna break the cheese seal?
I already did.
Okay, good.
Cheese.
I cut the cheese myself.
Oh no.
All right, I'm going into the pate here. We got some good stuff.
Shelburne Falls is a little wine destination.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I know.
So,
Monty knows more about this than I do.
Well-
he knows the people, the proprietors.
You've got the Juicebox, which is right here. Down the street, you've got Shelburne Falls Cork with William Siebert, who is also an accredited sommelier who worked in France for many years and has a beautiful little wine shop that sells great wines. And then you've got another sommelier, chef, who owns both Gypsy Apple and Le Peacock.
you can see from
You can
the
see
window.
it's literally right next door to the Juicebox, and he is a wine aficionado and a professional day drinker like me. So yeah, maybe Shelburne Falls is the wine capital of the 413 at the moment.
I think it is.
May we have round number 2, Alice?
Yeah, I was just opening it up.
Ken, this is your pick.
This is my pick. It's so floral.
I get mushrooms. There's like a little bit of that violet, like darker flower thing.
Truffles and blood.
That's what I got was blood.
Blood.
You know, in the movies, when the cops show up and find lipstick on a wine glass next to a dead body, this is that wine.
It's kind of witchy.
This is the one we all wanted to try. We
Yeah,
saw the list
yeah.
and we were all like, what is that?
Because it's a red wine with a white wine Gewürztraminer in it. Gewürztraminer is a spicy white grape.
Floral too, very floral.
Yeah.
It's one of those wines that I love on the nose and then I don't love as much on the palate.
When you drink this, though, it's even...
I don't want to do it yet.
Yeah.
This is such
Wait, I can't wait to
smelling
see.
it is such a special experience that I want to savor a little bit. It's very spiced on the palate. The fruits get a little tartar.
Real cranberries, not
Yeah, that's what I
fake
was going to
cranberry
say.
sauce.
That's
What it is,
exactly
I
what
couldn't
was going to
figure it
say.
out.
Nailed it.
Yes!
Yes.
I impressed everybody at the table, even my wife.
Finally.
What type of pate is this, Alice?
It's a chicken liver.
The pate and this gave me the chills. It was so good.
If you're into pate, the texture is lovely and the flavors are wonderful. And if you don't get that weird liver kick like my palate likes to do to me, you're gonna delight in it.
I live for it. I love it.
I love it. I'll eat all the
It's
pate.
this half of the table here.
It's the pate curtain. We're here at Juicebox on Bridge Street in Shelburne Falls. Wine Thunderdome, 3 wines enter by the glass with this awesome place that Alice Thompson has opened up that is a super fun, tiny little wine and food haven. Great for people who need a break from their kids that are sucking down juice boxes. Wine number 3 enters.
This to me is like juice box in a wine. What I think of like a juiciest wine.
Lambrusco is always Italian, sparkling.
Frizzante, right?
Frizzante is what fancy wine people
The bubbles
say.
don't have the same rigor that a champagne would.
Yes, and
it's gentle.
Yeah, from Emilia Romagna.
The
famous
gastronomic
for Lambrusco.
heart of Italy.
Yeah.
I feel like people would argue about that.
Every part of Italy is a delicious part of Italy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That smells like something so specific.
Yes,
What
very
is it?
juicy.
Oh, this smells like jus.
Me?
Like au jus?
Yeah, like au jus.
Like the roast beef.
Me?
Like roast beef dipping. Like, yeah, juices from a beef roast.
Yeah, and blood again was one of the first things I thought.
It smells like gravy.
Oh, you're so right. Good job. Really good. Just great call. I love it when people come up with something that I probably wouldn't have come up with myself.
But they're
and it's
so
just
right.
Like so right.
Yeah.
That's something that I love about tasting wine. It's very fun collaboratively. I get almost like a combination of like Concord grape juice, like communion style with beef gravy.
It's Manischewitz and beef gravy.
That is not sweet at all.
But it still has the cola elements that I get a lot of the times when I have a Lambrusco.
Yeah, there's almost this fizziness that kind of lingers on your tongue for just a second. The frizzante. I will say this is my favorite thing about wine. My tasting notes in wine school were absolutely insane. You know, they'd be like blood, swimming pool. There's that scene in that documentary Somm in which they're all talking about Riesling being like tennis ball containers.
Yeah.
This one tastes like a headache to me, so you can have that one.
I know how that feels.
Ken literally had to give up their wine career for many years because of how migraines affected you with wine.
It would really be one glass, and I could already, my eye would start to hurt, and I was like, oh, here it comes. I think in my heart, I wanted this to be sweet. I love a sweet Lambrusco.
I'm a sucker for that too.
It's like Valentine's Day.
People
It's
talk
just
dry and drink sweet. They say they don't like sweet wines, but they really want them.
The American palate is supposed to be one of the sweetest.
Professor Belmonte, my wife, who's crashing our wine segment because I invited her, you get the first vote.
I like the first one.
One for the Chenin Blanc.
And the second one, though.
Ooh, yeah,
This was
you
the
can't
third,
vote
right?
for 2.
Yeah,
this isn't ranked choice voting. We
Maybe
can't make that happen in this country for some dumb reason.
I'd like to vote for 2, but if I have to vote for one, I'm going to pick the second.
The second one?
Yeah.
Wow. Never would have thought that. Ken Washburn, who is the sommelier who tipped us off to this wonderful place, Juicebox, on Bridge Street in Shelburne Falls, and is the wine buyer at the Leverett Village Co-op and the general manager there. What's your vote?
Definitely number 2.
Which is the one that's 5 red grapes and 1 white grape in the Gewürztraminer.
No contest.
It's number 2.
Oh.
Yeah, the swink.
It is unanimous then.
Wow, yay.
Which is what when we were looking at the wine list, Khalees was like, look at this one. I was like, I can't wait to go.
Yeah. And it did not disappoint. It was such a journey. Everything I had with it changed the entire aspect of the wine, and I love that.
Fabulous wine.
Mm-hmm.
Alice Thompson, owner and purveyor, come back over here.
So Swick is the winner.
Yeah.
Showing.
If you had to pick, which one would you
From
say?
the 3?
Yeah.
I would say the Swick, but I think the Chenin Blanc is a close second just because it's like clean and like kind of sexy.
Look, I told my wife she couldn't rank choice vote. You can't either.
Yeah, it's probably the Swick because it's like kind of like a journey, like a wine journey.
Yes. I might get another glass just to really try and fully experience that. It is so interesting. It's so complex.
Yeah, from Oregon.
Oh, Oregon.
From Oregon.
Put a bird on it.
Oh, God.
Put a bird on it.
That was like a traumatic flashback. I lived in Portland for 7 years. There was a while where if you told anyone you lived in Portland, their favorite Portlandia skit would immediately burst out of their mouths.
Yeah.
Totally. I love that show, though.
It was also just sort of like watching like, oh, that happens in other parts of the country too.
This is
'cause
Northampton,
it's not,
isn't it?
It's not that different from Northampton. Up next, Live Music Friday with Valley singer-songwriter Dennis Crommett.
You're listening to the Fabulous 413 on 88.5 NEPM.
The Fabulous 413 podcast is funded by Northeast Solar, offering solar options, energy security, and solutions for the local community. Learn more at northeast-solar.com.
Welcome back to the Fabulous 413. I'm Monty Belmonte.
And I'm Khalees Smith. Dennis Crommett is a singer, songwriter, and guitarist from here in Western Mass, where he's been part of the Valley music scene for over 20 years.
In addition to recording and performing as a solo artist, Dennis also fronts the indie rock band Spanish for Hitchhiking, plays guitar in Winterpills, and backs up a bunch of people and more.
Oh, yeah. Dennis is playing next Friday, March 15th at Progression Brewing in Northampton as part of the Back Porch Festival, which is awesome, and we talked about earlier in the week.
Welcome.
Thank you. Hello.
Thank you. Let's hear a song.
All right. That sounds good. This song is called 3 Cheers for the Weekend.
Yeah.
Three cheers for the weekend, it's about time. It feels like years since on a Friday we could unwind. And it's fine to feel that free. I had dreams that sit hazy now in my mind. Sometimes screams, sometimes whispers, it'll be fine. And it's fine to feel that free. I got nothing but nothing, but nothing, but nothing but time. 3 cheers, or maybe 10 before I go blind. If someone steers, I can hit the pedals just fine. And it's fine that I can't see. I got nothing but nothing, but nothing, but nothing but time. I got nothing but nothing, but nothing, but nothing but time. And it's fine to feel that free. And it's okay to see that sea. And it's good enough to be, just be. And it's fine. 3 cheers for the weekend, it's about time.
Woohoo! And dang right. It's Live Music Friday as we head into the weekend with Dennis Crommett, who next weekend will be playing at the Back Porch Festival.
Right.
I ask this question all of the time, but how do songs that you write for yourself and your solo work differ from the things that you bring to Spanish for Hitchhiking?
That's a good question. It's just they come out as kind of one or the other. I mean, I maybe that's not that satisfying an answer, but but as part of my songwriting process, I try to keep there's free writing that happens and lyrics kind of little bits or get cut out of pieces of paper, and then once the song starts to form, typically it's where I need the guys in Spanish for Hitchhiking to do what they do best, which is they take things, they chop them up, they move them around, they add more rhythmic stuff than I can do, that then comes out of my brain, and we do a lot of collaboration in that way. And then sometimes things just come out and it's just for me solo. Also the vehicle a little bit. I mean, if a song's acoustic guitar, if it really has to be on acoustic guitar, it's for me solo, and if it's electric guitar, it's the other guys. But yeah, it varies, and they swap sometimes, but rarely. So
I also love that. I feel like your guitar playing and Philip Price's guitar playing are very similar, but
Philip
his
Price
songs,
of Winterpills.
his songs are so bittersweet, and yours are just like there's this inherent sweetness to your work.
Well, thank you.
He's a bitter winter pill to swallow.
Oh,
Hey!
really?
No, he's not. I love
Really?
Philip Price, and I
Why?
love Dennis Crommett.
Well,
and
that's very nice.
Yes, and Dennis is part of Winterpills,
Yeah.
and Dennis will be playing as part of the Back Porch Festival next weekend.
Yeah.
We'll also be having Ronnie Arbo a week from today, who's part of the Back Porch Festival. We're going to have Caroline Rose, who's coming to Bombyx on the show next week. We're going to talk about a lot of Irish stuff with St. Patrick's Day.
We're going to learn to play the
Parade.
bagpipes.
We're going to learn to play the bagpipes
Awesome.
and more, but let's hear one more.
I do have.
Wait.
I'm going to
Okay,
ask
go
you
ahead.
a real quick question.
Yeah,
so,
no, it's
are
great.
you going to be playing the Back Porch like this, like just you and guitar, or are you bringing the people who were on your last album, Get Gone, with you?
Yeah, it'll be a full band, which will be Ray Mason on bass, who everybody knows, Jason Smith from Fancy Trash and Opal Canyon and stuff on drums, and Dave Chalfant from the Nields and other things on guitar. Also, my friend Jeff Hobbs plays keyboards, but he turns 50 that day, so he can't make it. So it's all good.
What else
But
are you
so it'll
doing?
be full band. It's just kind of straightforward rock band. It's gonna be great.
Cool.
Yeah.
Dennis Crommett, a week from today, March 15th at Progression Brewing as part of the Back Porch Festival. Let's hear one more.
Yeah, all right. This song is called The Lucky Tripler. It's kind of about scratch tickets. Good fortune follows us in time, does it not? But I win and I lose day to day. Put a blanket on my life, fast cash, when I scratch, scratch. My friend Bill Jocko hits sometimes, does he not? When he wins, he loses a couple days. She filled the driveway with all his things and closed her eyes and waved goodbye, goodbye, goodbye. I hope you get lucky 1, 2, 3 times. And 3, 2, 1, I hope it becomes a life of love. Good fortune found me just in time, did it not? I was ready to throw my chips away. She puts a blanket down and closes her eyes, and now I'm on fire, fire, fire. I hope you get lucky 1, 2, 3 times. And 3, 2, 1, I hope it becomes a life of love. I hope you get as lucky as me 1, 2, 3 times. And 3, 2, 1, I hope it becomes a life of love. Thanks.
Dennis Crommett.
Thank you.
so much.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yay! Excellent.
All right. Good enough. All right. Thank you so much. So fun. Go look into some feet for the weekend, maybe.
There you go. Chenin Blanc. South African Chenin Blanc more than
Oh, that's very.
Yeah,
That's very-
where was that one from? I don't remember.
That was from the Loire.
That's very. The Loire Valley. There's some Monty Python thing where they're like, straight from the Loire Valley. It's I forget what it is. guys. Anyway.
I'm surprised I don't know that one.
Oh, I don't know.
I've used it 1,000 times.
I'll find it and I'll send it to you. I'll send it to you. I think it's a wine. It's a
Many
wine
people
thing.
poo-poo Australian table wines.
That's Australian table wines. That's what it's called. It's an audio sketch. Oh, that's funny. I'll send it to you.
It's a pity.
Yeah, that's right.
A Sydney syrup ranks up amongst the world's greatest sugary wines.
That's right. There's something on a Walla Walla. Anyway, it's really funny. So I'm done. I'm good.
Yeah.
Well, thank you all. Yeah.
Thank you.
All good. You do your thing.
Great to meet you.
Our thing just ended.
Yeah, you too. Oh, good. Well, that's good. Yeah.
So, yeah, unfortunately, the sketch has some sort of